What's going on, folks? So it's been a while, but I still get a kick out of on this channel here. I put out a Troy motor video years ago, and I still get people commenting on those videos saying that they were helpful and that, hey, where'd these videos go? I appreciated them and all that stuff like that. So bottom line, everything I do is towards my company, LEADNAV Systems, and doing the GPS systems for off-road and desert racing and all that good stuff. So everything I do is kind of occupied building that and that channel and everything else. But I'm going to kind of keep Damian off the grid going as like a behind the scenes and me rambling, basically. I hate to kick it off after all this time with something negative or bashing something. But let's talk RVs and campers, folks. We just got last year the LEADNAV Chase RV. It was a Class C RV, brand new 2025. We had UJoint conversion done to it, 4x4 conversion. The thing is sick. I absolutely love it. It's probably the best purchase we've made for the company, getting me to and from events. It's been awesome. I mean, I love the setup. I love the concept. I love the wheelbase being short. It's only like 3 feet longer than the Chase truck. Love everything about it. But what we had happen was on our first couple trips, it has an onboard generator. We put solar and all that stuff in it, but we have an onboard generator. And I realized within like 30 minutes of running the onboard generator, the carbon dioxide sensor or the CO2 sensor was going off in the rig, and we could smell the fumes coming up through the floor from the generator, which we were like, what in the world? So I thought there was an exhaust leak. We thought it was just from basically seeping up through the floor when there wasn't enough airflow or wind under the rig. Now keep in mind, we jacked the thing up a foot off the ground, so now it sits way higher off the ground. So there's a lot more airflow under there, and we're still having it happen within 30 minutes running the generator. You got to shut it off. We actually put a high-end air quality sensor in there that shows you the Vox basically rising outside of safe range within just like 30 minutes of running the generator. And then after you stop the generator, it still climbs because everything, all that gas, that fumes under the rig is still seeping up through the floor into the rig. So we thought, okay, let's get a maxi flow reverse, because we have a max flow roof vent in right now from factory, but it doesn't have reverse. So we're like, let's get a reverse one so we can reverse it and create a reverse vacuum to push any fumes that might be seeping up through the floor out and keep them out. The other thing that we bought was one of those Venturi stacks, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but basically the thing that it's a smokestack for the exhaust to help clear the exhaust over the roof level of the RV, which actually made it worse. Ended up making it worse, which we didn't know why. So then we kind of figured it out. I'll put on my dork glasses and I'll show you up under there. Take a look. You can see basically this was open right here, but this was completely closed off with metal, and this is a blower. So you have your exhaust and you have your blower. This is your intake that I'm about to cut. So I'm actually going to cut just here to here to open up these intakes right here because they're half blocked. But this exit, airflow exit, was completely closed off. All that hot air, which I'll show you here in a minute, was being trapped in the cabinet and fuming up through the bottom of the rig. All right, let's sit down here at the little planning center here. Here's the MPS generator. I got MPS 4500. Here's the manual for it. Here's kind of where I started figuring out between this manual and actually I went to the dealership and looked under some of the other. There's one identical RV to mine there, the same length, same model, and then there's a 26 footer, a little bit longer model, and it has a different generator on it. But here's my generator, and you can see right there in green, you got air intake vent, and then you got that whole box. You got your exhaust coming out, but this whole thing blows like a radiator through it. And then there's the outflow, that whole rectangular area, and you can see the insulation in it. That's the outflow. So And let me show you over here. So this is I took these photos at the dealership. This is a 26-foot model of mine, and it has a different style generator in it. What they did was they put the wrong floor for my generator into these rigs. So they had this floor and they just put it into all the rigs, but they have two styles of generator on board, and I have this one right here. So they covered up this whole exhaust outflow area. They covered it up completely, so all that air couldn't make it out. This is the 26-footer, and it has the different generator. And now we're going to show you what they did from factory to a model like mine. That's what they did. So I was pretty shocked when I went to the dealership and looked at the same model as mine, and I found brand new on the showroom floor this hack job out of the bottom of the pan. And let me see if I can show you right here. I mean, you want to talk about a hack job. I mean, they almost went through that bolt. And keep in mind, these bolts are what support the weight of the generator. That's bolted down to the generator. So they damn near cut right to the edge, right there. I mean, just hacked it. That was their answer to fixing this problem. You can see right here, over here's the intake, and there's my rectangular outtake right there. That's why I had to hack the bottom out here, to let all this gas, this exhaust, get out of the housing. And this is why I didn't leave it with the dealership, because I know mine's kind of ugly right now, but I'll clean it up with a grinder, and I'll put paint on it. I'll paint it back up so it don't rust. I'm actually going to Cerakote the exhaust pipe with the exhaust Cerakote. But that's why I'm doing it myself, because I don't want to hack this whole bottom out. I'm just going to hack out around the intake, and like I did at the exhaust. So like on our last trip, we were running the generator a couple hours a day, and we had to monitor, we had to open vents and stuff to get our battery bank up during the day. And it wasn't even that hot, it was like 80 degrees, but we just had to run during the day. And even at like 80-degree temps, the door to the generator was almost melting. It was getting so hot. So I had to prop it open while the generator was running. Because essentially all that hot gas and fumes were being blocked from exiting the bottom of the generator and just being maintained inside the cabinet. And then of course all those fumes are just leaking up through the floor. It just blows my mind on these rigs. You know, the 3 corporations that own every camper and RV in the world, basically. How I get the little stuff that we found. I get buying a new camper. They just slap these things together. But there is safety stuff here that I cannot see how that is acceptable, and how that didn't lead to like a major recall. I mean, I'm pretty mechanical here, and you know, I can do stuff and like hack the bottom of it out myself. But we took it to the dealership, and they basically, of course, were like under warranty. They're like, well, you got to leave it with us for a while, and you know, and we'll take a look at it. We'll call the company and blah blah blah, and they'll just keep it for months and months. And they would probably end up doing a worse job than what I could do as far as cutting the floor out. I don't know how many other people are running around with this exact model that didn't get the mod that they hacked the floor out to let it breathe. But I just wonder how many people are getting fumed out. And I mean, obviously it's not good to be sitting in a car with your exhaust pumped into the window, essentially. That's it. That's my rambling. So today, I'll show you here. I actually put the max fan in the top, mounted that up. Got that all mounted, got the leveling putty on it. That's drying up right now. So now I do have a reverse option with this fan. So if I ever do have anything like that, I can do a reverse vacuum to help push anything out the floor. But I've been running it now. I've been running the generator since I hacked the bottom out. I still got to go in and hack the intake side out a little bit more to let the intake air flow in a little bit easier. But just hacking the bottom out so it can breathe. All that air, I mean, I'll show you right here. You can see just how much force, how much air is blowing out or meant to blow out of that cavity that was completely being trapped and closed in by the floor. It's crazy that hitting up Forest River, they were just kind of like, nah, whatever. This is a Forest River East and West and Entrada, which is kind of funny because that's like 3 brands in one. So I'm sure they know the deal. They can hide behind, well, that's Entrada's fault. No, that's Forest River's fault. No, that's the manufacturer's fault who assembled it. No, that's the generator's fault. No, that's they know the game. They know they can just get away with this stuff, but it just blows my mind that something like that isn't like important, like, I guess nobody outranks safety but Forest River. And God forbid your indoor sensors don't work one night or during the day. And I mean, that's how we realized that we had our dogs in there. We were run the generator when we first got it, and we realized how, we're like, man, your eyes start burning, you get a headache. And then we put the high-end sensor in there and we saw it spiking. And anyway, now that that floor's hacked out, now it is totally off-gassing all that fumes, and the meter, the air quality meter, has not even risen at all, which is right there you go. So let me know what you think. Again, I'm back on here just rambling. I'll keep this channel going with the things that I won't post on my LEADNAV company website or YouTube channel, but like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you want to hear me complain about things. But no, we'll do some cool things though on this channel, so follow.